All right, Adrian Dzvuke joins me on the show because it is an absolute massive week for you, bro. Your debut EP's out. How are you kind of feeling right now?
Very excited, man. Very excited. I mean, it's been a couple years in the making, like finally dropping the body of work. So, yeah, there's like this feeling of like super excitement, but also kind of like, no, it's how, what the vibe's going to be like. But I don't know. It's been like a journey. Like, you wake up, you're like going up and down like that. But I'm in the stage where I'm happy and I'm content and I'm very like, yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. So how
Yeah.
long ago did the idea, the concept actually come to you? I want to do an EP.
In like 2019, I think, is it 2019? Like end of 2019, I kind of just like started working on heaps of music. Um, I used to go to the studio all the time with Connor and just like make stuff. Like we didn't, it wasn't like oh, this is for the EP. It was just like making heaps of music.
Hmm.
And then after a while, we just kind of, we're getting to the groove of things and like figuring out, what works, what doesn't. But by that, I mean just like what feels good for me and like where I want to go with stuff. And then, yeah, kind of unlocked it in a way that was like, I feel like this is what I kind of want to do. And like the inspiration around me in those days, the shows that I was doing, the people I was around, just like in the scene, I was like really inspired by different things. So, and I think you can kind of hear that in the music.
A lot of artists come out with the idea of doing an EP or a project and working on this body of work, and then they get distracted on the way and they go, oh, I just want to, release music because, you feel like you're not giving people your fans what they want. Is there a point in time, along the lines of making Phone Me When You Lonely, where you kind of just like put it on the back burner and you kind of didn't focus on it?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying though. Like there wasn't, it was at the very end of making the EP when it was like like a project.
Gotcha.
It was
Hmm.
never like, it wasn't really a project until at the end when it was like, okay, we have these songs, let's put it in a body of work, and then it became a thing. So it was never, and then I think from that on, that's when it was kind of like, okay, how do I want to sequence it? Like, what do I want it to kind of do?
Hmm.
Um, but like to answer your question, yeah, there definitely is like times where you're making heaps of music and you're like, I need to drop all this. This needs to drop tomorrow, like right now. But I don't know. It's just all happened in a way that I really appreciate it, because when I look back at some of the stuff that I was making back then, like I personally feel like the stuff now is way better.
Hmm.
And it's just a complete body of work. Rather than if I was to drop back then, it would just kind of feel like I just dropped random songs that I was working on.
Yeah.
But that's just what I think personally. It gave me time to kind of like really see what I want to do and like really like, especially that COVID time, especially 2020, like me and Connor are in the studio every day, just like working on stuff. And like, yeah, we kind of had the time to just chill and just like do whatever we wanted rather than like, what's gonna do this, what's gonna, and just do it.
When you sit and listen to this project yourself, do you surprise? Are you surprised by the fact that you made all these songs in so different times and mental spaces, and you didn't have this project in mind when you were doing it, yet they all kind of, even though they sound different, they congruently work together.
Yeah, see, that's something that I'm really proud of that, because I've always been like a big fan of like cohesive like body of works. And,
Hmm.
that's probably another reason why I hadn't dropped an EP or like a project for a long time, because just been doing singles, and I really wanted to be like to mean something and be something special.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like when I look back at the projects and the songs that are in the project, I'm like, damn, like I remember this song, it was this and that and that. I never thought it would become part of this and gel so well together. But one thing you don't realize, I think, as an artist, because that's your expression. And sometimes you just think you're going to the studio and you're having fun, you're making songs, but really like subconsciously, you're really like speaking about how you feel. Like you really actually, you're expressing yourself. And
Hmm.
then when it all comes together and you're listening back to it, you like, it takes you back to a time like, oh damn, like this is, but in the process when you're writing this song, like, oh man, I'm writing about this time that this happened. You just kind of, it's just ideas to you. They're just ideas, but really they're not. Like they're coming from like a subconscious place where they mean something.
Yeah.
And then you realize that later, which I then, to answer your question, he's very like surprising that happened. But
your subconscious was already telling yourself as you were making these songs, kind of, they need to fit within a similar a soundscape. For you, we've had many conversations over the last couple of years about music, about life, about all different kinds of things. For you, this EP, these songs put together and getting to release it and, getting to announce your tour as well. What does that mean, for you in your point of the career of where you are, in 2021?
I think this to me, like this EP to me just means it's kind of just like freedom. I don't know, it means freedom to me for some reason. Just because I went through a lot of times, I think I've had these conversations with you as well, where like I felt like, maybe people only like me for this certain sound, or maybe I shouldn't do this thing because what people think. It's like internal and external battles that I felt, and I feel like this EP for me just kind of it's me proving to myself as well, just like I can do whatever that I want because I'm an artist. I'm not this artist. I'm not I just make music and I make how I feel. So it means a lot to me in that way that I'm putting it out there, and then I've gone past all of those things. And shout out to the people around me that have, like really helped kind of with those conversations and just reassured that, like to believe in myself and just make what I want to make and do what I want to do. And I know this, like you said, this is the first project as well. So it's not, it's not that deep really in a way of like, oh, like this is the first thing. It's not that big of a deal. But I feel like being from Perth, it's such a small community that people, once you do something, people want to put you in that, like once you, and for me, I was like, no, I don't want any of that. I just want to do what I want to do. And I'm not going to like subscribe to this environment. I want to subscribe to my head and like my ideas.
Don't lessen what a big deal this is, I feel like, for you, because when I first started listening to your music 2019, when I first moved back out to Australia, your music sounded very different, I want to say, to the music that is on this EP, and I think where you're heading and that freedom that you talk about to kind of be who you are. So I feel like this EP is almost like the birth of who you want to be, the music you want to make, and not what you feel like you've been driven to do over your whole life and career so far.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think that's a really good way to put it. I really agree with that. I definitely think it's, me and Kyle talk about this all the time. And it's also, I think in music, people, like I say, people like to kind of put you in a box. And I think me doing this in the beginning and just being like this, I'm always going to do what I want to do, is kind of setting like a precedent of like, it's just going to be vibes, like whatever that I'm feeling at that time. I'm not, I'm never going to just make what people expect me to make, and that's fine. That's the kind of artist that I want to be. I want to do what I want, and that doesn't mean that there's certain things I avoid making. Like I love I love everything. That's why this EP is the way that it is. It's like Adrian in all different forms. Like my African influences, my Western influences, some whatever it is, and just putting it out there because I've lived all those lives and like I've lived all those things, and there's no reason why I should be like, nah, I'm just gonna do this because this is what people want, or like what people expect me to do, or like what I think I'm gonna be successful at. It's like, no, because then I'll be stealing for myself. So I've started seeing it like that rather than so it's definitely freedom. It's like the birth of kind of, I guess, what's coming next. It's just
when I was kind of researching and kind of thinking about what I wanted to talk about with you as we kind of weave through what this EP meant, I kind of categorized there to be kind of almost like 3 moments in the last year that I wanted to also intertwine into them. And one of those moments was, you being a real voice, as you say, about being put into a box. and talking about, you know, a lot of things that people don't, you know, either want to talk about or have just been, you know, the norm for a long time. And, you know, I loved even something today, and you may not even be up on it yet, is, you know, the ARIA Awards are doing this year just best artist rather than best female and best male. And, you know, just
Oh, cool.
really
That's
making it
amazing.
exact. Yeah. And, you know, coming off the back of, you know, you won a Wham award for a hip hop, a hip hop song. And, you know, you came out and you really spoke about how you felt about being kind of put into that box and not really feeling like you identified in there. Was that moment for you in your career, was that something important? Was that something that you are proud of for doing?
100%. 100%. I am so glad that that I've got people around me that encourage me to kind of do those things and support me when I mention things like that, because it all comes from conversation. So something that I would have mentioned to, you know, the people around me, and then everyone's like, yeah, that's definitely true. You need to speak out and really like express yourself. And because it's something that I had been talking about for a long time, even before then, you know, even before I won the hip hop award and stuff like that, which I'm grateful for, you know, and I never want people to think I'm kind of, you know, I'm taking it in a bad way or whatever. It's just something that needed to be said. But yeah, it's something I've had that conversation with a lot of people, with my friends and people around me, my colleagues and people in the industry, in the scene, and I'd never really said it out like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this, to me, I felt like it was a chance for me to, it's like a relevant moment for me to say it and actually make an impact, rather than like randomly saying it when, you know, like it's unnecessary, you know what I mean? So yeah, that moment was very important to me, and I think that also fueled everything that came after. And yeah, now I'm just so much confident in like speaking on issues like that, and not being afraid of like what people are gonna think, or because that's, yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard because in music, it's very like, you can't, maybe you can't say this, or maybe I can't say that. What if they, you know, what if I say this and then like everyone hates me, and then, you know. But I think being in Perth and being, I might be wrong, but probably being like one of the first like African artists to really kind of be on these stages, um, it's an important time. It's an important position to be in, and if I don't utilize that when I have the chance, then, you know, I'm kind of wasting it.
Yeah.
So I'm already seeing, and that's not to say it's not to my credit, but I'm already seeing a lot of artists popping up in different places that are getting different kind of opportunities, whereas, you know, like a couple of years ago, they would never be on the stages, because of the music they make, and, you know. But yeah, I could go on about this
Yeah,
forever,
well,
but definitely important. Yeah,
it's great. It's great to see you taking those risks because, you know, one, with risks come rewards, but two, to show that you're willing to stand out, you know, alone or, you know, on a stage, and, you know, take what comes back, but also take, you know, the beautiful things that come from it. And I saw that you had said, you know, I hope a kid who looks like me listens to this project and realizes they can do whatever they want without feeling boxed in. Um, and, and,
yeah,
and, and for you now, kind of, this EP is out there and is released. And I believe it will do exactly what you just said there in that quote. You know, how, you know, does that make you feel, knowing that you can lead the way and your music can be that opportunity for young kids that didn't have someone like you to look at?
it makes me feel very grateful to be in a position that I'm in, because I never thought that I could say, you know, things or do things that people would actually listen to and take seriously and find inspiration in. But somehow, I, you know, definitely a lot of hard work, but I've gotten to this position where, in this, at least in Perth, um, you know, the African community, or like the people, like the artists in that world, kind of, some of them look up to me, and I get messages all the time like, I love what you're doing. Really, you know, like what you said there, I really like, I resonate with that. And I'm just grateful to be in this opportunity, man. Like, it feels amazing. but also, yeah, very like humble to be here to do, because music is very it can be very like me all the time, you know, like look at me, look at my song, look at my project, look at my trick, you know, like all that
Yeah,
stuff.
you,
And I think
you
it's
feel like
important.
you're a narcissist at certain times
Yeah,
in your life.
yeah. Yeah, it's like, come to the show, come see me play, like, like every day, you know. That's what I've been doing for this promo for this show. But but yeah, like it's just it's good to kind of take a break from that and also do things that are important for the greater good rather than just like yourself, you know.
Yeah.
So
The
yeah.
EP, it's got 8 tracks. Phone Me When You Lonely. Talk to me about the name. Phone Me When You Lonely. One, why not phone me when you're lonely? But two, where does the whole thing come from for you?
Man, I was just talking about this to Connor right now, because it's like a thing that the whole I get really like annoyed when people are like, do the you're like they literally apostrophe. I'm like, that's not it. That's not the one. It's you. It's yeah. I
Yes.
think mainly is that because it's the way that I talk. I think I'm just like I wouldn't be like, for me when you're lonely. I just, for me when you're lonely. I don't know. That doesn't it feels natural to me to say that, but also the whole title in itself, I just think the EP was kind of made in this times during COVID, and where it was like a lot of like anxiety, you know, like, you know, people were going through a lot, and then people were, and I think for me as well, there was like I went through a time where I was just kind of, yeah, like feeling like really constricted and like, yeah, not the best of times, and you know, just very anxious all the time, and you kind of experience these feelings, whether it be for someone or like to the people around you, your relationships, or even like within yourself. So it's kind of, it means both things. Like as in, like if you're feeling that way, like, you know, like I'm here to talk because I feel like, you know, I might understand that, but it also is kind of in the like R&B way of like shawty, what's up? Like you know what I
Hit
mean?
me
So
up. It's 2
so yeah,
a.m.
because
You want to come around or what?
yeah. So yeah, it's got that kind of double entendre, they call it.
One feature on this EP, and you did it very late in
Yeah.
process of putting this EP, you know, in for distribution. Dzvuke, you know, jumps on here. Why bring him as this one feature? I know it's not for his golfing abilities because we've all golfed together. And
Definitely not for his golfing abilities. Nah. I'll be a
well,
better draft. I'll pick a better draft for that one. But
I
I'll
might
be
be on the
Checo for
EP
like,
if it was golfing abilities over Dzvuke, but
yeah.
you know, well, why go to that length to go? All right, we need to throw this on so late, and there's no other features on there.
Okay. So the thing is, we had all the other songs ready, and everything was ready, and there was like a plan to kind of put the other like Darling and Bad Like Riri on the song instead of For Me When You're Lonely, because I always felt like Bad Like Riri needed like another shine. It's one of my favorite songs that I've made, and I just thought like it needed another chance to kind of, you know. Um, but that being said, I had to talk with my team and stuff like that, and everyone was kind of like on the vibes of like, oh, it's a bit late, you know, like, you know, this is supposed to be going out very soon, blah blah blah. And then I kind of listened to that. I was like, oh yeah, you know, fair enough, cool. And then one time Connor just called me. He was like, hey, I was just wondering if is the reason that you want to put Bella Riri and Darling on the EP because of like, so like, well, what is the reason? Why don't we just make another song? And then in my head, I'm like, oh, we wanted to make another song. And I was like, no, it's too late, blah blah blah. And then he's like, dude, we could literally get it done. And I was like, let's do it. So literally, I called Chiseko and I was like, hey man, I got this song that I'm gonna do. It's gonna be on the EP. It's gonna be called "For Me When You're Lonely." It's gonna be like the title track. Do you want to be on it? And he'd never heard the song. He was like, yeah, like let's do it. So literally, called Sheldon, booked a studio session for that night. Or actually, it was the next day. I had like an all-night studio session, just a recording. But that's the story of how we kind of came together. But the reason being was just because I feel like it's kind of like a new time for me as well. So I wanted to kind of have like another new Afro track to kind of really celebrate my roots, you know. And Chiseko is also Zimbabwean. I'm not sure if you know.
Yeah.
So, and I love the guy, super talented, but I just feel like I was coming together and kind of like rapping Zim in that way, and it just kind of works out. And the guy is like, you know, I got to know him over the last year or so, and it's like the sweetest guy, really very chill, and I was like, you know, this feels right. And for me, with features and stuff, I always wanted to be friends with people that I really like rock with, and so that was like, I'm just so glad that he came through and killed it as he does.
How was it writing that song? Because, you know, and being in the studio and making that one, because you already at that stage knew what the EP sounded like and looked like and where this was going to fit in. You knew the name of the EP. Was it different writing and making this song in that kind of scape of things?
Definitely, yeah. This one was kind of, the approach to me was, I really want to have an Afrobeat track on here, and a song that really, like, because we're getting into summer, and I'm like, I don't want to I want to give some people like something new to celebrate and like vibe with, you know. So knowing that, I also knew that the EP has like a certain sound that it does, and I needed to fit into that. So it definitely had an impact, because we got into the studio and the sounds and everything that were used, like me and Connor just like grinded for ages. Pretty much like I just like had the bass line, some drums, sent it over, and Connor played around, added some stuff, does what he does, and we came through the studio together and we kind of like put it all together. And at the end, I don't know if you listen to the end of For Me When You're Lonely, it kind of like goes back into that world in like kind of hinting the next song, which is I Feel. It's probably my favorite song in that EP. But yeah, it was very like kind of like this needs to fit, like constructed to fit into the thing, but also didn't feel too like this is you know, I feel like it just worked out perfectly. It's one of those things that it just happens and it just makes sense. You don't have to question it. You don't have to. We didn't spend a lot of time on that song, as we like in a good way, not in a bad way, but like because it was just naturally, it just all came through. Because of the other songs we did spend a while because we had the time and we kind of, you know. But
well, it's funny you say that, because when Cal sent me the EP, you know, a few weeks back, I listened through it a couple of times and I picked up on, you know, the connections that fit around the title track. And that's why when I read everything, I kind of went, how did you manage to get this connection of songs that were all done in different places and times and you didn't really know where they were going to be? And then when I read into it and realized that the title track was recorded so recently, it made sense. It made me go, okay, I see how he's done this. Because if that was random, then that is like so far out there.
I don't know, man. I think it just worked out. And I think it just kind of shows that, well, for me, it's a sign that I was on the right path and like everything was kind of coming together at the last minute. Kind of like, this is it. Let's wrap it up. Let's put it out in the world. And I'm really happy that song managed. I remember sending it to Kyle and Kyle being like, "Hey man, like, listen, we had you know, as well, we have deadlines." And I was like, "Yeah," I'm like, "Yeah, cool," but it's like, I love this song and this song is fire. We're gonna put it on, but like next time, please don't do this. And I was like, I can't promise that. He's like, okay.
I had a boss and he always said to me, if you're going to break the rules, break them well and break them really hard, you know? So if there's deadlines, if you're going to do it, make sure there's a really good reason that you're breaking them. But for me, you know, I love to see you win and your team win and the energy that comes around it. And as I mentioned before, there were certain moments that I feel like in the last year for you, and you had a massive moment for the city. And also I think personally for you with, you know, signing a Westfields deal and, you know, being a face of this big rebrand and it really being a moment that a West Australian musician was kind of put at that level and recognized and also, you know, got the bag. For you, you know, talk to me about that, you know, and that moment and what that has meant to you this year.
That to me is something not that specifically, but it's something that I've always had in mind of my like in my career. Like I remember talking to Kyle at the very beginning, like when we started working together, and I was saying like I wanna be able to kind of, I don't know, like put myself in all kind of places. I don't know, that's a really bad way to describe it, but
Mhm.
I want the brand, the Adrian Dzvuke brand to be just more than the music, but all coming back to the music. I
Yeah.
want the music to be the thing that connects everything, because
Mhm.
I think I like I like creating, and I like being involved in different ways and whether it be like posing for photos,
Yeah.
whether it be just like anything really, like
Mhm.
fashion, whatever. So that when that happened to me, it was almost like a confirmation internally, like damn, like yeah, like everything that I wanted to do. It was like a realization when that came through. It was like everything that I've always wanted to do, that I've always thought of myself as an artist, like I'm actually doing it, and I was very proud, and I was very happy to know that that's the case. But
Mhm.
yeah, apart from that, huge opportunity, and I'm so grateful for it. I Again, comes back to the thing of when I was younger, I would have never seen like a dark skinned man, like someone that looked like me on a
Mhm.
billboard in Western Australia in Perth, and that's why it meant even more to me. Apart from the whole like branding, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
that was the thing. It was like, yeah, like I'm doing something that matters, and yeah, that's I can't. Yeah, I can go on and on forever about that,
Tell
but yeah,
me,
I just hope.
because for you, you've had amazing placements on, certain playlists that, have, certain amount of followings, and as artists, you celebrate those things, those wins when you look and you're like, damn, I just got put on this playlist. It's the best playlist and it has this amount of
Yeah.
people. Give me the two kind of, I guess, aspects of being on, a playlist or being on a billboard and seeing your face and picture. Are they very different?
I mean, obviously, I wouldn't compare them as to like which one is better, because
Mm-hmm.
it's as an artist, you want your music to be recognized. So when you do make it on a big playlist, it's kind of like, wow, like there's a lot of artists in Australia, and I'm one of the 50 songs that are on there
Mm-hmm.
this week or whatever it is. So that kind of gives, as much as like we don't make art for validation, there still is a part of us that's like, I hope people like it, and I want people to enjoy this. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of feeds into that. um but the other side, the whole billboard thing, is just, yeah, it's just like representation matters. Like for me, that's why it's a huge deal. It's less about like me being like, oh, I'm a model, or like I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
because I don't see myself as that, but like it's more just people that see that are gonna have a different, I guess, understanding of Western Australia as a normal Western Australia is usually pushed,
Mm-hmm.
because, when you look at Western Australia, you think of, surfing and like the typical people that look the way that they do. And it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like almost the opposite in a
Mm-hmm.
way, like seeing, because the whole campaign's like Western Australia on stage, and usually you don't see people that look like me on that
Yeah.
stage, on those billboards. So yeah, it's definitely a different feeling. It means more in like a communal sense than the music stuff does. Music stuff is cool and it's like great, but that means so much more because it's less about you. It impacts a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, I love that you're
yeah.
getting those opportunities. And I love that, I get to see your beautiful face up on a billboard, why not, just brighten up my day with something like that, and for you, you've connected this, EP release with a tour as well. You had your opening night on Saturday night, in Northbridge at the Bird. Now you continue to move on with that tour. Talk to me about it. Talk to me about what it is for you to be on stage and to get to perform these, now that you've released your baby to the world.
I am so excited. I feel like the live element of, I guess, myself as an artist is it's probably like one of my favorite parts. Like I love being in the studio. First, I think I enjoy that more. But when you get to connect with people, and like when you really get to like see them singing back your songs, or like even just vibing and like really giving you that attention and appreciating your art, it's just something you just can't put a price on that. So I'm super excited, man. We've been working so hard on this show, and for me, like, if I do say so myself, it's a huge level up from any of my other shows.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we've been going in, whether it be like the tech stuff side of the show, like the lights, the sound, everything is, yeah, I'm really putting my all into this. So I can't wait. And it's been a while since I've played shows, and it's like we've kind of purposely not played as many shows this year.
Mm-hmm.
I was leading up to this moment where I can just go crazy. So yeah, super exciting, man.
And
My band is amazing. So
you
yeah.
threw Melbourne and Sydney on there. How, as an artist, are you feeling right now putting out dates in places, around the country with what we've all witnessed and seen over the last 2 years? Are you hopeful? Are you nervous? Is it a tough thing to really do, to throw dates like that out there?
Yeah, no, 100%, man. Like when you post something like that, you obviously know there's going to be people that, that they're reading it. They're like, oh, that's probably not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. But I think for me, it's more for like the hope of things going back to normal, just, having a positive mindset, and if you can't do it on the date that you're supposed to do it, you can always do it later. And it's, but the fact that it's out there and it's a thing that's going to happen, I think personally, like internally, gives me something to look forward to as an artist, like for my mental health.
Yeah.
But also even for the people, like the fans or whoever else is seeing it. Blah, okay, cool. So things are gonna be okay. Like things are gonna get back to normal because people are starting to do that, and it's happening slowly, man. I know like Australia is kind of behind right now, but it's happening slowly. We're gonna get there.
Phone Me When You Lonely is the EP. It's out everywhere now. The tour dates, go find them, go check them out. Make sure you get to see an Adrian Dzvuke live performance, because the energy, mate, is on 100. So as soon as you get some downtime, let's hit the golf course again, and we can just chop it up. All right, bro?
100%, man. I still want to see if I still have the crown, So, because last time was kind of like a big fluke. So, and I've been talking it up a lot. So, I don't know, man.
Bro, I can't wait, man. Well, congratulations. This EP is amazing. It's a great body of work, and I think is going to be a huge stepping stone in your career and where you go moving forward, brother.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to it. And yeah, I always love having the chats with you, man. It's refreshing. So